The first dawnlight crept into the carpenter's workshop, casting a warm glow on the tools and half-finished projects. Sigrid Embergrove stirred, her eyes adjusting to the brightness. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of freshly cut wood and the sound of birds chirping outside. As she moved through the workshop, her footsteps echoed off the walls, a familiar rhythm that brought her comfort. The silence was almost palpable, a stillness that seemed to vibrate with the promise of a new day. Sigrid's hands moved with a practiced ease, her fingers tracing the contours of the wood as she worked. The sound of her tools biting into the wood was like music, a symphony of creation that filled her with a sense of purpose. And then she saw it, a book, waiting on the workbench, its cover bearing her name in fresh ink. The morning light danced across the cover, casting a golden glow on the letters. Sigrid's heart skipped a beat as she approached the book, her mind racing with questions. The workshop seemed to grow quieter, the only sound the soft creaking of the old wooden beams. The scent of wood and leather wafted through the air, mingling with the smell of freshly brewed coffee, which Sigrid had left on the stove overnight. As she waited for the coffee to warm up, she gazed out the window, watching the sun rise over the trees, casting long shadows across the ground. Sigrid's curiosity got the better of her, and she opened the book, her eyes scanning the pages. The words seemed to dance across the paper, their rhythm matching the beat of her own work. She felt a shiver run down her spine as she read, the words speaking directly to her soul. The room around her grew quieter, the only sound the soft rustle of the pages as she turned them. The book seemed to be calling to her, its words weaving a spell that drew her in, deeper and deeper. As she read, the shadows in the room seemed to grow longer, the light from the window casting an otherworldly glow on the walls. Sigrid's heart beat faster, her breath coming in short gasps as she felt herself becoming one with the book. The words on the page began to blur, her vision narrowing to a single point, as if the book was the only thing that mattered. The workshop around her faded into the background, the tools and half-finished projects becoming mere shadows, insignificant compared to the power of the book. The sound of the wind outside picked up, rustling the leaves and creaking the trees, as if echoing the beat of Sigrid's heart. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the light streaming through the window cast an eerie glow on the walls, making the shadows seem to twist and turn of their own accord. As the days passed, Sigrid found herself returning to the book again and again, its words echoing in her mind long after she'd closed the cover. And then strange things began to happen. A tool would move on its own, a door would slam shut, and the air would grow cold. Sigrid felt a presence in the workshop, a presence that seemed to be watching her, waiting for her. The words in the book began to rearrange themselves, their meaning shifting and twisting until Sigrid wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. The workshop seemed to be alive, its rhythms and sounds taking on a sinister tone. Sigrid's heart was racing, her mind reeling, as she tried to make sense of the chaos around her. The book seemed to be the key, but she couldn't decipher its secrets. The shadows in the room grew darker, the air thickening with an eerie, unnatural silence. The sound of the wind outside dropped away, leaving an unsettling stillness that seemed to press in on Sigrid from all sides. As she stood there, frozen with fear, the workshop seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for her next move. The trees outside creaked and groaned, their branches swaying in an unnatural rhythm, as if echoing the beat of Sigrid's heart. The darkness seemed to be closing in, the shadows deepening, as if the very presence of the book was sucking the light out of the room. The scent of wood and leather was overpowered by a new smell, a smell of decay and rot, which seemed to be seeping from the book itself. The carpenter's workshop was performing its own work, the tools moving in perfect synchrony, the wood shavings flying through the air like snow. Sigrid stood frozen as the workshop seemed to come alive around her. The book lay open on the workbench, its pages blank, but warm to the touch. And then she saw the coffin, its lid measured to her own length, waiting beside her. The workshop was silent, the only sound the soft creaking of the wood, as Sigrid realized her fate was sealed. The air was heavy with the scent of wood and death, the shadows cast by the flickering candles dancing across the walls like malevolent spirits. Sigrid's heart was heavy, her mind numb, as she stared at the coffin, the finality of her situation sinking in. Bryn Embergrove stood in the doorway, his eyes fixed on the book. The workshop was silent, the sun rising over the horizon. He took a step forward, his hand reaching out, hesitating. The air was thick with anticipation, as if waiting for Bryn to make his move. The book seemed to be calling to him, its words whispering in the silence.